I have a pork shoulder. I'm going to season that, a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm going to put that right in the crock pot so I can set it and forget it. Bing! And then I'm just going to pour some ginger beer. I'm going to pour a little bit of that in there and just let that slow cook and get real tender. Then I'm going to go ahead and make a apple ginger barbecue sauce. I'm going to do an apple blue cheese coleslaw to put on top of the pork for sandwiches. I got some pretzel rolls and then I got some Kaiser rolls. I'm just going to get going. I got to get that pork on so it gets tender in time. So we're going to rub down the pork. I have some ground ginger, ground black pepper, and kosher salt. Oil the outside of your pork shoulder, and then we're going to rub everything down on it, kind of pressing into the meat to get it all to stick. We're going to oil down the pan that's been getting a little warm over here, and then we're going to get a good sear on the outside of the pork. For any of the late 80s, 90s people out there watching, you got to flip it, slap it, and rub it down. You can leave it in the comments if you get that joke. We got the pork all rubbed down. All the seasonings are giving a nice coating to the outside, which will give a good crust to it as we sear it off. I'm going to hit the pan with a little bit of olive oil here, a little bit of lubrication in that. A little twirl. We got a nice little bit of smoke going. So this is going to sear off really fast. I'm going to get the pork shoulder seared off on all sides. I'm going to get ready here to flip it and get a nice caramelization on everything. As you can see, we're getting a really nice crispy caramelization along the outside from the seasonings all being in there, and also just the fat on the pork itself is just going to get a nice crispy layer on the outside. And that's what we're looking for. So when we put it in the crock pot and then we braise it down, it's going to have a little bit more flavor from all that caramelization, but you're going to get a different texture from the pork, getting that little bit of crunchiness. And it's not just going to be a big soft blob of meat in there. We want to have all those texture contrasts going on. While the pork is searing off, I have pink lady apples. We're going to core that up, and then we are going to slice them up. They're going to go right in the bottom of the crock pot. We're going to chop some onion, and we're going to use that as the base layer for the pork to lay on, and then we're going to add the ginger beer in and just let it braise off by itself. Onion. I picked up some fresh ginger. I just want to teach everybody a really quick, easy way to peel ginger. You don't want to use a knife because the knife itself is a little bit dangerous. All you need is a spoon. Just use the edge of it and then slide it down the skin of the ginger. And it just takes the skin right off without ruining too much of the actual piece of ginger itself. It's really easy. It gets around all those little nooks and crannies, takes all the skin off. Nice peeled piece of ginger. In here we have our pink lady apples, we have yellow onion and freshly grated ginger, a nice pork shoulder that we seared off. We have ginger beer in here, and it's just gonna sit here for about 4 to 6 hours and get nice and tender, and then we're gonna move into making those sandwiches later on. We're gonna make the sauce portion of the pork dish. We're gonna do a homemade barbecue sauce. Of course, it's gonna have apple, bourbon, and ginger all in this sauce. We're going to use tomato paste. You can use ketchup if you want. I want to play with my flavors on my own terms, so I don't want to add anything that a ketchup's going to put in there, so I'm just using plain tomato paste. The apple butter that we get from Groveport, and then of course our bourbon that I love you for, and a little bit of garlic, ginger, some Tabasco to give a little bit of heat to it, apple cider vinegar, and Worcestershire sauce. It's really easy, basic. I'm just gonna heat it up, give it to a simmer, and let all the flavors meld together. Tomato paste, apple butter, ground ginger, garlic powder, apple cider vinegar. What I'm gonna do with this, I'm gonna pour the apple cider vinegar into the tomato paste jar. Give that a quick stir, and that'll get all the goods out of there from the leftovers. I'm gonna give that a quick stir just to get everything moving around. Worcestershire sauce. Tabasco, I'm using habanero Tabasco because if anybody knows us from the truck, we really like spicy stuff. And bourbon going in. I'm just mixing everything up here to get everything well incorporated. Turn it on low and just let all the flavors come together. We'll give it a little taste test here in a minute. Yeah, it's got a good taste to it already. Watch you don't let it burn. Give it a little stir every once in a while. Move it around. I'm just gonna let that simmer here for about 30 minutes. Give it a little stir every once in a while, just to make sure it's not sticking to the bottom of the pan and burning. Just make sure you have it on low, and then just gonna let all those flavors come together. We have our slaw going over here. We got some green cabbage, red cabbage, carrot, all shredded out. Make some matchsticks out of an apple. Just chop them up, slice it down. You're gonna throw that right into the bowl. We also have soy sauce, sesame oil, which is one of my favorite things. I've got a 1/4 cup of each of those. Some rice wine vinegar. That goes right in there. We're gonna get some freshly grated ginger. We're gonna whisk this together. Pour that over top of the slaw. Just enough to lightly coat everything. I'm gonna do a little bit of blue cheese in there because I think everything needs cheese, and that's good. So you just get some blue cheese crumbles. Now we're gonna stir it up. Stir and fold, stir and fold. Apple blue cheese slaw, soy ginger vinaigrette. Give this a little time to sit in the fridge and just let it marinate for a few. That'll be perfect right over that slow roasted pork with the bourbon, apple, ginger, barbecue sauce. All this stuff is going to tie together really great. We are at the culmination of everything we've done today. Now we're just going to get this sandwich plated up for you. This is going to be the apple ginger pork. We have the apple ginger slaw that's going to have a little bit of blue cheese in there, and then we have apple ginger bourbon barbecue sauce that was made from scratch. We got a nice toasted bun that we bought locally. We've had the crock pot going now a little bit. So I'm going to just kind of pull this meat a little bit off here. It's kind of coming apart pretty good coming out of the dish, so you guys can see that, how it's just shredding up really nicely. Put a little bit of that pork on each one of these rolls. We got our sauce. I'm gonna put a little bit of that on top of the meat. I like layers of flavor. I wanna taste the pork, I wanna taste the sauce, and then I wanna taste the slaw, and even that buttery bread I wanna taste. Slaw here now, put that right on top. That's our sandwiches. I don't know if I have any on my face or not. I outdid myself. This is really good. You're definitely gonna have to try this recipe at home. It's got a big flavor punch to it. It's really good. Those little bits of blue cheese in the slaw cut through all that tart, tomatoing, a little bit of vinegar in there. It just kind of cuts through it. Oh man, it's really, really good.